Hey peeps, Pat here from Gamestunt. Now today I want to talk a little bit about Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak versus Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and why you should also play Monster Hunter Rise and not only World. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the graphics. Now the graphics of Monster Hunter World are better than the ones on Monster Hunter Rise, especially if you compare it to the Switch version. Although the pixelation, the sharpness of the PS5 version is better than if you play Monster Hunter World on your PS5. Now you can really see it if you compare the same armors. You can definitely see some pixelation on your armor pieces in Monster Hunter World, and there's no pixelation at all on Monster Hunter Rise on the PS5 version. Now the thing I do like more in Monster Hunter World than I do in Monster Hunter Rise is the map and the map design. Now not only that, also how the monsters react in their environment. It's a little bit more immersive than it is in Monster Hunter Rise. And then the size of the maps, I do think they're roughly around the same, except for maybe the Harforce region and the Shrine Ruins. I do think they are a little bit smaller, but you do travel much faster in Monster Hunter Rise, so it's really hard to tell which map actually is bigger than the other one. Now the other thing is that I really like a lot in Monster Hunter World are the Safi and Koftarot sieges. You don't have those in Monster Hunter Rise. Also the Guiding Lance is a really cool addition that they added to Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. So yeah, also really fun. But then on the other hand, you have on Monster Hunter Rise, you have the Rampage quests. Not a big fan of those. It's kind of like a tower defense game you can basically play in the game. And then you have the collab quests. Now the collab quests are a really cool addition that they added to the Monster Hunter Rise version, because you can basically play with an NPC or with two NPCs and you can go through their quest lines. Every time you get a new NPC unlocked, you can basically take him with you on a hunt. And then eventually you can basically go on a hunt with 7 in total, because you get your 2 Pelacos or Palamutes with you, yourself then, and then also the 2 NPCs with both their Pelaco or their Palamute. Now there are some things that I consider to be better in Monster Hunter Rise than there are in World. Like for instance, every single weapon has a jump attack, and you use a wirebug though if you want to do a jump attack. And they also have some hang time. Some of the weapons, like for instance the hammer, the great sword and the hunting horn, can basically stay a little bit longer in the air before they hit the monster. So it's really good if you do those moves. If they tend to do a low attack, you can hang a little bit longer in the air and then basically hit the monsters. Now the other thing I really like more in Monster Hunter Rise is you have way more moves for your weapons, and you can switch between your skills also in the game. And that's something really cool, it makes the weapons way more versatile for every single build than it was before in Monster Hunter World. Now it's really amazing how many moves you actually had in the game. I was really surprised when I saw it on Switch, because it was on such a small console available. Now the first thing I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna move over to my chest here so I can show you basically also the things you can swap out. So that's all my Switch skills here. Now if I take a look at my Switch skills, I can basically change almost every single move that I'm doing here. Now it's not all of them, but a lot of them I can change. All my wirebug moves I can basically change, and then a lot of my skills I can change out. Now it's for every single weapon, I think, except for the heavy bowgun, light bowgun and the bow. Their normal skins don't change that much for those weapons, because they just shoot. But the rest of the weapons, pretty much you can basically change their moveset, how they basically work in the game. Now I'm gonna briefly go over some of the skills for the weapons. Not gonna show all of them because it's gonna be too lengthy for the video. So yeah, let's go and check them out now. Now for the first one, I'm gonna go over Great Sword here. For Great Sword, they added a counter attack. So basically if you counter the attack, you can go into True Charge / immediately after the counter. They also have a power sheet move where you can use a wirebug to go to the side and you can sheath your weapon and it gets engulfed with wirebug essence, and the weapon will do more damage after you've done this. Now the Sword and Shield also added an aerial attack to the game. If you basically press triangle and circle on the PlayStation, you can basically easily go up in the air and then do a shield bash or a sword attack. Now they also added one with a wirebug where you get more distance into the air, and if you land you even do more damage than before. And then for the lance, for instance, they added an aerial attack where you basically pierce up and pierce down with your lance. Now if you use Heaven Sent on your lance, you can also do a charge attack, and the charge attack won't go away, it won't deplete, because your stamina, if you're using the skill Heaven Sent, your stamina doesn't deplete, so you can basically keep on running forever. It's a really cool move and it's something you really need to try out if you play in the lands. Now for the hammer, they even added an attack where you can basically engulf your hammer with Wirebug essence, so you can do even more damage. They also added 2 aerial attacks, one that hits down really hard on a monster and then the other one that spins around and hits the monster multiple times. Then for the switch axe, they added an attack where you can basically wire to the side, your little meter gets filled up, where you can basically use your sword attacks and the meter doesn't deplete at all. You can also do an aerial attack with a Wirebug where you wire down and you fill your large meter up much faster. Then for the insect glaive, they added a couple attacks. They are really cool ones. You can, for instance, throw your insect to the monster and then you can wire to the monster, pierce him, and you can continue that with other attacks that you can basically keep on piercing the monster. You can also keep on throwing your insect and then putting clouds in the air, and after a while you can let them explode for more damage. And then for the longsword, for instance, you can now power up your weapon with a special attack. So you can basically wire to the monster where you hit him twice, doing multiple attacks, but it will also give you 1 level. And you also get a new attack where you can basically use a Wirebug to counter strike your monster. You can also do like a longer sheath animation where you can basically move around while your weapon is sheathed for then a really big follow-up attack. Then for the dual blades, you get an aerial mode now. You can basically play aerial with the dual blades all the time, and you can also do like a really cool drilling attack from the air and then hit the monster or from the ground. It's really cool one, really strong for this weapon. Then the gunlance can play full aerial right now at the moment. It's really cool. You can use a blast dash, reverse blast dash to get up in the air. You can also use like a hail cutter, then you go up in the air and then you can follow up like blast dashes. For this weapon, for instance, it's one of the coolest things that they added to the game and makes the weapon way better than it was before. Same for the hunting horn, all melodies are performed much more easy now than they ever were before. Now you also get like a forward lunge Wirebug attack where you can hit him multiple times. You can use a Wirebug to go up in the air to put like some extra attack power on your weapon where you can hit him like multiple times. Now for Charge Blade, they added another counter attack where you can basically go into an SEAD in 1 move if the monster hits you. You can also wire to the side and then go into your hammer mode where you can basically unleash your SEAD, for instance, if you floated it up. And then you get like 2 Wirebug attacks that you can do like aerial. One is to do like 1 big explosion in the air and you can hit the monster. The other one is to go down with an SEAD with your charge blade. Now for the light bowgun, you added a really cool move called the fanning maneuver, where you can basically use a Wirebug to fan out of the way of the monster to evade him. And you can even engulf your bullets with Wirebug essence, where you can do like a really fast multiple shot where you can basically keep on hitting the monster like a Gatling gun. It's really cool one, really strong also. Now for the bow, you get a new sidestep mechanic. Now you still have the charging sidestep, but they added the dodge bolt. Now the dodge bolt is not gonna go as far as the charging sidestep, but if you use a dodge bolt and the monster hits you, you basically go through the attack and you charge your weapon. And then they also added the new aerial attack, and that one is also really cool. So basically, whenever you're just attacking the monster, you can basically do the move. You can launch yourself up in the air and then shoot like 3 times from the air. Now it's really good for evading the monster if he just wants to attack you, to go up in the air and then it's just firing. And then also the other move that they basically added, 2 Silkbind moves that power up your arrows, where you do more attack power with your arrows. And then finally for the heavy bowgun, they added like a routing shot where you basically fire the bullets much faster in succession, but a meter fills up, so you have to watch out, because when it's full you have to wait for a while before you can shoot again in that mode. And you get a charge shot also now. Now the other one is you get 2 counters that they added also with the Silkbind move. One of the counters is basically when he hits you, you lunge backwards and you can do like a charged power attack. Really cool move, really satisfying when you pull it off right. And then you get the Setting Sun and the Moon version. When you place one, you can shoot to one of the circles. The one does more damage, the other one increases the amount of bullets you shoot. Now, these are not all the skills that I showed you, it's just some of the skills that they basically added in the game. Now, this is the reason why I do think it is important to also play Monster Hunter Rise and not just only Monster Hunter World, because I would not be surprised if a lot of the skills will be added into like Monster Hunter Wilds when it releases. Because like in my honest opinion, some of the weapons just play way better in Monster Hunter Rise than they do in World. Like for instance the gun lance, the insect glaive, the hammer and the hunting horn are in my opinion a better version in Monster Hunter Rise than they ever were in World. Now, it's not the only thing that improved in the game, Like for instance, the Palico and Palamute system in Monster Hunter Rise is also better than in Monster Hunter World. You can customize them way more. They also have like separate skills you can basically make them use. Like for instance, the Palico can put like little Dragonator on the ground. And like the Palamute can like capture the monster in like wires and like keep him in one place. It won't capture him like a trap, but they can't move from the place, for instance. That's like some of the iterations that they actually added to the game that in my opinion are a little bit better than in Monster Hunter World. It's the same for like your canteen. I do think the canteen is better in Monster Hunter Rise because you have way more diverse things there you can actually choose to eat for. Like for instance in Monster Hunter World, I remember the most thing I mostly ate for was like elemental resistances. Here you can really choose which element you want to be resist for, and you can add some really cool extra bonuses on like sharpness, stuff like that, like even having like longer stamina and things like that, you know. It is just a little bit more diverse in Monster Hunter Rise, and you can really pinpoint the skills you actually want on your food buffs. Now, if it comes to game difficulty, I have to give it to Monster Hunter World, because I do remember when some of the monsters came out, like Frostfang Barrier, Raging Brachy, Elatrion, Fatalis, Archtemper Valkana, even like the Furious Raging that you can do in the arena quest. Against those monsters, if I tried them the first time, I never beat them like from the first go. In this game, I hardly died, you know. Even like dying 3 times, I only think it happened like a couple of times. The rest of the times I always managed to like beat every single monster, mostly from the first go. So yeah, it is a big difference. There's not like really a big challenge in the game to like solo in this game right here. There is more skill bloat and power creep though, so you actually have way more skills to play with to like make yourself almost unkillable than there were like in Monster Hunter World. So yeah, I do really hope that like in the next game there will be like more challenging fights and it's not gonna be as easy like Monster Hunter Rise was, because for me it just feels a little bit too easy. I remember like when I did like a stream where I basically did update 4, 5 and 6 when it came out on the PlayStation. And I basically did all of those monsters without even dying once. Now I did do them on like the Nintendo Switch before. I didn't fight them that much, but I did fight them before. So I kind of know their patterns already a little bit before I came into the fight. But still, I remember on my Switch, I died maybe, but I did not card like 3 times in a row, you know, to like restart the fight. I basically killed everything from the first go if I soloed it. And that's a big difference. Like if I even go to Monster Hunter World at this moment right now, I will still struggle with Fatalis or with Elatrion. I will still struggle with like Raging Brachy, and I will still struggle with like Furious Raging in the arena. So yeah, I do hope that it will become more harder again, the game, like it was before, instead of as easy as it is in Monster Hunter Rise. Now the other thing is decoration farming, and also farming for your amulets, you know, stuff like that. The thing is, some of them are locked away behind really high levels. Like for instance the crit eye +4 and the attack +4s. You can only get them once you hit Curio level 241. And like from everyone I know, I'm like the only one with one friend of mine who ever got them, and my friend just got them recently. So yeah, most players who will actually play the game will never get that far, because they will get burned down before they can actually get those decorations. And that's one of the things I wish they would do like Monster Hunter World, and at least give you like one of each, like in the beginning of the master rank or something like that, like they actually did in Monster Hunter World. Although in Monster Hunter World it's more RNG, so you actually have to farm for it and you have to be really lucky to get them. Here, yeah, you can basically build them once you hit Curio level 241. Now, there are some decorations you can actually melt in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, but yeah, it's like the weaker ones like Vitality and the Resistances, Defense, stuff like that. It's like the easier ones. The rest you can actually do from the first Wyverian ritual. You can also get some there, but yeah, it's also RNG if you want a really good one. Now there are way more decorations in this game, like diverse ones. You have really cool skills like Burst, Intrepid Heart, Blood Rite, Blade Scale Hone, Bloodlust, and then Sneak Attack, stuff like that. You know, you get a lot of really cool decorations that give you some really cool skills. Now some of them are also really OP, but most of the ones that are really OP you can actually not get in decorations, but you can get those skills on like your talismans. Now if you want like some special skills or some extra skill points in something, you can always go for talismans, right? But the thing is with talismans, it is always RNG in the game. It's not like you have your standard talismans that you can get here. You can always go for some particular skills, like for instance attack boost or crit die. Those are pretty easy, but still you're gonna get some RNG there. What extra skills you're gonna get, which slots you're gonna get on them. Some of the skills even cannot be gotten like in decorations. You can only get them on talismans, or you can get them on your armor pieces. Like for instance, Inspiration, Strife, Frenzied Bloodlust, Dragon Conversion, Frostcraft, Powder Mantle, Wind Mantle, Berserk, and Furious, stuff like that. You know, you really need to get those like on your talismans, or you need to get them on armor pieces. Now, the thing is, because of the RNG, I remember a lot of people were like making builds and posting them, and then you needed certain talisman. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who wanted to make those builds didn't even have a talisman that came close to it, and were not able to like copy those builds. Which I do think I wish have like just some of the talismans there that were like standards, so you could use, but yeah, they're not in the game. Everything is pretty much RNG, although you can focus on one of the skills, you know, like I said before, like attack boost or critical eye. You still have to be lucky that you get like a really good roll, you know, for one of those talismans. Now, one of the other cool things that they added to the game is the curio crafting system, where you can basically get an extra skill on every single gear piece. Like for instance, on my pants here, you can basically see that I rolled Frostcraft on this one. On my chest, I got like Wind Mantle, here Frostcraft again, and it really makes it really versatile. Like these armor pieces here, they had like Heaven Sent on them, and now I have Frostcraft also on my gear pieces. Now in the previous game, Monster Hunter World, you had to like, if you wanted to have like Frostcraft, you had to like wear Valkana gear or Archtemper Valkana gear. In this game, it doesn't matter which gear piece you're actually wearing, you can always roll every single skill in every single gear piece. Now, you might be thinking not every single skill works, but it does. It just depends on which role you're taking. If you're going for skills, you're gonna lose one skill, and then you get a chance in a better role, and that's how I basically get Frostcraft on my Heaven Sent gear. Now, it's not the only thing, you can also do it with your weapons, as for instance here, but it's kind of different, you know. You can only do like extra attack boost, affinity boost, elemental boost, and sharpness boost. Now, this is one of the things I really do like in this game more than it is like in Monster Hunter World, because you were always stuck with a certain gear piece that you needed to wear if you wanted an extra skill on your build. And here it's like different, you can basically get every single skill on your gear pieces. Now, it does make the game more so that you can really make your build your own. Like most players won't have like exactly the same build as you do, and you can really go way more defensive or way more offensive if you want to. You can even make like a full glass cannon build that deals a ton of damage, but you have to manage your health like constantly in the game. Now, that's also one of the reasons why I do think you also need to play Rise, because I would not be surprised that a lot of the skills that you have in this game will be coming over to like Monster Hunter Wilds. Not only that, also the faster pace of the game is also a plus point. If you're coming from this game and you play Monster Hunter Wilds, you're gonna be used to like a faster pace. Like for instance, if you would come from Monster Hunter World and they would turn the pace a little bit in Monster Hunter Wilds, it's gonna be a little bit harder for you to pop into that game, as for instance if you come from Monster Hunter Rise. I really do hope that they introduce this to Monster Hunter Wilds, because it would be really cool if you had way more skills in that game than you have right now at the moment in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now for Wirebox versus Clutch Claw. Now I do think Wirebox are a little bit cooler than the Clutch Claw, because you can basically move like this, like a little bit like Spider-Man, as long as you have a Wirebox active. Now there are some skills you can basically wear, like for instance Wind Mantle, Wirebox Whisperer, and there's also like a decoration that you can wear that increases the time you can actually have a Wirebox, that like improve it so you can have it actually for a longer time, and even more of them if you're wearing Wind Mantle. Now, the thing is with Clutch Claw, I did really like it in Monster Hunter World, but it was like a lot of people were like complaining before that the monster, he backs away sometime when you hit him, and that was just made for doing a Clutch Claw attack. And if you didn't have like the Clutch Claw unlocked, then yeah, you actually could like hit him like maybe once or something, but it wasn't long enough for like doing like a big attack or something like that. It never really bothered me because I got Iceborne from the start and I really learned how to use the Clutch Claw immediately. But yeah, I do tend to like Wirebox a little bit more. Also, all the skills that come with them, yeah, it makes it a really cool addition that they added to the game. And then now for the mounting versus like the monster riding, I do think the monster riding is a little bit better because the mounting you just do less damage and then you knock them to the ground, while is with the wire riding you can actually do a lot of damage to the monster with one of the other monsters, and they all have like different attacks. So yeah, both are really cool, but I tend to like the one in Rise a little bit more than I do in World. Now I have around $2,000 on each of the games. I think it's gonna be a little bit less on Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I think it's around 1,800 or something. But I have over $2,000 on Monster Hunter Rise. So combined it's about $4,000 in both of the games. So I have quite some experience in the games. And in my honest opinion, they're both very good games. If I would choose one, it would be really hard. I do think that like maybe the multiplayer is a little bit better in Monster Hunter World because you can go with 16 people into the Gathering Hub. Here it's only 4. And then the solo gameplay I like a little bit more in Monster Hunter Rise. But both of them are great games though. The other thing that's also really good in Monster Hunter Rise is like the training area. I also do think the training area is a little bit better done than in Monster Hunter World, because you just have a training dummy there, like a cart. Eventually when you get like Iceborne and you can like shoot the cart against the wall or something like that, you know. And in Monster Hunter Rise you can actually make the training dummy shoot projectiles at you. You can make them stomp to like practice your counter attacks. And then also have some moving objects there where you can aim with your bow at or your heavy bow gun to practice that a little bit more, you know. Now you can actually really see that they added more to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak than there was like in World. In World there was a lot, but they added like a lot of new things in Monster Hunter Rise to make the gameplay a little bit more fun than in Monster Hunter World. Now the game is a little bit more arcadey though, because it's faster, stuff like that. You can use the wirebox there. And Monster Hunter World looks more realistic. It feels a little bit more realistic than Monster Hunter Rise does. But it's not like it's that immense of a difference, you know. They are both like fantasy games. And they're both, in my eyes, really brilliant games. And if I have to choose one, I can't choose one. So yeah, the one I like more in multiplayer, that's World. And the other one I like more for solo hunts. Now that was basically it for the video, peeps. If it was helpful in any ways, please remember to leave a like and a sub. Please don't burn me down also for the video that I made, because it's still my own opinion about the game. And yeah, keep yourself safe guys, and we will catch you on the next one. Laters.